Okay, what are the topics? Here we go.
How different does it feel this year, Jim, after having been here a year now, is the comfort level, things like that? Not just being here, but the second year of your program now.
You know, every day you wake up, there's a new something going on, and you know, I'm not sure you ever get comfortable. And usually, when you get comfortable, that means you get your tail beat. So it's kind of status quo from that standpoint.
Jim, apparently one of the things that's going to come up among the coaches is trying to come up with something new or different to find a way to get more information to these underclassmen who declare and then they don't get drafted.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a more creative way to do it? Is there a way to get better information? Should there be a junior combine? Is there a better way to do it than what's being done now?
You know, I just hate to see what happens to some of them, you know, maybe whether it's the reports or they're listening to bad advice or whatever that is, that sit there thinking they're going to get drafted and, you know, have an opportunity to come back and maybe help that draft stock, but more than that, actually continue to work towards that degree. And, you know, I think it's one of those deals that, you know, the rules are the way they are. You know, is there a better way to do it? Obviously, that's for somebody else to figure out. You know, I just feel for those guys, and you know, whether it's some kind of combine, I don't know what it is. It's something, and yet, at the end of the day, it's really their choice and who they choose to get their information from, and you know, there's so many cases where when a guy chose maybe to come back and really helped himself, you know, moving up. Well, who knows? You know, it's one of those things I think we all need to look at.
From your perspective as a coach, would a path back for players almost have to be before National Signing Day so you knew what your roster would be?
It'd sure help. You know, I mean, that's the one thing that, you know, the declaration piece at least allows you to know a little bit of where you're at. You know, I think maybe the question for everybody there is, you know, how do the baseball guys handle it? You know, I talked to Sully, you know, they got guys committed and then somebody's drafted or, you know, whatever. I don't know how they keep it organized, to be honest. So, but, you know, it's definitely, I think, something that should be looked into more so, not for us. I'm talking about for the betterment of these players in helping them make the decision, whatever that decision may be.
Jim, the West has kind of dominated the SEC almost over the last decade. The success you had with Kirby out at Georgia, Will at Muskant at South Carolina, and what Tennessee has, you feel the East is on the cusp of a reemergence?
No, I don't know. You know, time will tell. Obviously, those programs have done a heck of a job on the other side, and yet, you know, I don't think there's anybody on our side that's going to sit there and say that, you know, we don't belong. And but until it happens, you know, who knows? I know obviously those guys you mentioned are great ball coaches and will get those programs going, and you know, I just know we play them every year. So,
Coach, I'm assuming no update on Antonio Callaway. Is that correct?
yeah, same deal.
Is he in summer A?
No, not right now.
When have you seen him in a while?
You know, that's
I know you
being handled. So
are you talking to him?
that's being handled. So.
Coach, how tough is it to win in this league with a first-year starter at quarterback?
It's hard. It is. You know, I think it has more to do with the supporting cast around that person. You know, we were pretty fortunate, I think, when we were at Alabama to have Greg, but he was McElwain, but he had been in the program for a while, and then same thing with AJ when he became a starter, you know, that first year. And yet I don't know that it has as much to do with that particular position as it does what have you done for the other 10 guys on offense and the other guys on defense to help that guy be successful.
What's that dynamic like in the room? I mean, you did it last year for the first time, but you know, Will's now back in the room after being with the Gators recently. You coached under guys, and what's the kind of the coaching dynamic in there?
Well, I think, a lot of guys, obviously, it's fascinating because you get an opportunity to exchange ideas on, whatever the topics are, and just to listen how other people think, and really opens your eyes to, some different ways of looking at whatever the situations are, and it's good. I'm going to miss Coach Spurrier. I mean, I'm be honest there. I mean, he obviously had a way of keeping it light every now and then. So,
Can you go back to the first-year quarterback thing? Is there particular positions on offense that can help more with a first-year starting quarterback? Or is
well, I think ultimately, whether you're offense or defense, it begins up front. If you've got a veteran offensive line, especially somebody to help them, depending on what kind of system you're in, I mean, it's all varies, but, some guys up front that have been through it and, can help with some of the declarations and the protections and, some things that way to kind of ease that guy into it. Obviously, it really helps. So, but again, that's in the systems we're in. Some of these other, maybe that's not as important. I don't know.
Do you monitor what players tweet or put on Facebook, and do you talk to them about what they?
Yeah, we have, we've got constant, the social media piece is, look, guys, that's the way they communicate today. It's the way kids today talk. I mean, they communicate at a dinner table like that, and so like one of the things we do is our Sunday team meals, everybody's got to put their cell phones in the middle of the field, or middle of the table, and actually look at each other in the eye and communicate. It's a fascinating concept, isn't it? But
Do you talk to players about what?
no, we have constant education. We do people that bring in. The interesting thing here to me is the use of it can really help enhance your brand. The use of it can be very positive, and yet people are just sitting there reading these every day for somebody to screw up and make a big deal about it. And so the education piece to me is look, that's how you communicate, that's what you do, have at it. But I think it's our responsibility to at least help them in the education piece on what they can do to use it to enhance their own personal brand, as they move along. And yet, look, we live in a free country, all we can do, our biggest thing is being a teacher, being an educator, helping them hopefully make choices and decisions that can help them in turn be successful in life. And yet, day in and day out, there's examples of where guys shot themselves in the foot by doing it. And but you know what? It isn't about ridiculing that action. It's about, okay, learning from that action, and what can you do to maybe help you in the future. That's really, to me, what it's all about.
Just out of curiosity, what's your overall impression of IMG Academy and how they've kind of changed the high school football landscape and the recruiting?
Well, I think, they've done a great job. They're, getting great people in there, and, the concept is, fine. I think we saw a little bit maybe on the West Coast at Bishop Gorman a little bit, kind of what they were doing, probably not the extent of the training piece, but they do a great job. Hopefully one of these days they like us too. I don't know.
Does Jalen ever have loss of value and catastrophic injury insurance?
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? Yeah, I would hope so.
It's a very unregulated industry, and there's been a lot of concerns raised by
all our guys, that have that opportunity. It's something that, we educate them through, and they go through the process, and that's something that's very important.
Are there concerns, though, from the regulatory side, just as far as players get these insurance policies? If something were to happen, collecting has been incredibly difficult for players where the circumstance presents itself to collect.
You're going to have to do the research on that. I don't know about the collection. I hopefully keep collectors off my porch. That's all I hope.
Jim, there have been some first-year head coaches in this league. First time they ever were a head coach coming into this league. How much did it benefit you to be a head coach before you came into the SEC?
Well, I think each each situation is, you know, a separate situation. Some guys are more prepared than others, whatever that is. I can only speak personally. I really felt the experience that Colorado State gave me, that opportunity to you know, go in and captain a ship, was very beneficial. And however, you know, that isn't the model. I mean, you got to get a start somewhere.
You've come a long way with facilities in just a year. What's next for you guys and maybe on your wish list?
Well, you know, here's the good thing is there's been a master plan that's being looked into, and I haven't seen the results yet, Mark, at all, other than I know it's something that our administration is moving forward with, and it's really exciting. It's exciting for the program, it's exciting for our players, and really ultimately it's exciting for the university. When you look at, you know, the opportunity to really create something that's going to be sustainable. And I mean, we've done an outstanding job. I mean, that indoor and what we've done in the academic center, which will go into this summer, or this summer. If you get an opportunity to go see that, I mean, it's got the players' best interests in mind.
How close are you to being caught up, would you say?
Well, I don't know that you ever catch up, you know, and yet at the same time, it isn't about catching up as much as it is, I think, about creating an environment that'll help your guys be successful, and that's what it's about.
Sorry, the Ivy League in the offseason voted to do away with live tackling full contact during their fall practices.
Mhm.
Is that something that could work at this level?
Well, I guess as long as everybody else is doing it, you know, that, yeah, I know this. We've come a long ways in teaching the proper mechanics of keeping your head out, you know, and the things that we go through every single day in our EDDs on proper tackling technique, proper contact technique, and, you know, that's something I think that's been really good for football. You don't ever know until there's enough statistical data to see how much it helps, because in some case, you know, not learning how to properly do it, then going into a live game situation, I don't know that that's the answer either, and yet obviously the Ivy League's a lot smarter than I am, so.
Would you be interested in an early signing period for recruiting, and what would be the benefits or negatives if you do that?
Well, I think, you know, it's something that we've tossed around for years now, and what's the right model? The way I kind of look at it is, as long as everybody's recruiting under the same model, you know, you adapt to it. And if there is an early one, I think some of that early has been taken care of because of the early enrollment of players, you know, that graduate early. So they don't have to go through that that mess all the way till February. And so I think that in itself has maybe answered some of the early signing right there.
For as much talent
What are
as
your thoughts on the instant replay possibly making decisions from the Birmingham office during a game?
Well, I think it's great. I think as much input as there can be to get whatever the call is. And look, my dad was an official, he was a coach, he was an official. I get how hard that is. And then, you know, from the replay situation, you know, there's some bang things that happen. I think having a general clearinghouse is probably a good way to do it, and you know, as long as it doesn't probably delay, and you know, we'll see. But I mean, today you get shoot.
Is there a concern that you're kind of taking the game away from the officials on the field?
No, and I don't think that that's even a concern for them. They want to get it right, and I do know this about officials. They work their tails off, and it's a hard deal. I mean, you're making bang calls, you know, right there, and you know, I know our officials do an outstanding job. They communicate well on the sideline. They kind of let you know what's going on. You know, I like the way our guys work, and whatever you think can help the game is really what I'm into.
Coach, I know it's a couple of months still, but
It's about, let's see, I got it kind of counted down, but I got about a month and a half really until my daughter gets married. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, after that.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's awesome. After that, do you expect Alex, Anzalone, and Martez to be cleared?
Yeah, and in fact, they've been cleared to do everything right now, and obviously there's no contact, but it'll be no different than what we did even with Antonio, you know, a year ago. You've got to get, but you still have to test it before, you know, you want to throw them out there on a Saturday, but everything's been going great.
And Cal?
And Brandon too, in fact, he's got a new set of shoes that I took every other shoe out of his locker. But he's required to wear to help on that, but he's been cleared, so.
For as much talent as there is in recruiting in the state of Florida, the big concern with satellite camps is not so much outside the region, but with the SEC cannibalization being a major topic.
Cannibalization in recruiting? Holy mackerel.
Within the
That sounds really bad. I don't know about that. Is that? I don't, yeah, I got you.
So how concerning is it to have?
I can't believe it's very tasty. Holy mackerel. This guy's beautiful. Where'd you get him, Edgar?
To have 13 of your peers visiting your state, all over your state.
You know, here's the deal, though. The state of Florida had been recruited by everybody in the country well before any of this. And as long as the rules allow, I mean, they should come. It's as good a football as there is in the country. I would imagine there's a bunch of it going on in Texas as well. I would imagine there's a bunch of it going on in California. You know, wherever those, you know, hotbeds are. And, you know, would I rather have them not come? Well, that'd be a good deal. But as long as the rules say they can, more power to them.
Coach, how do you breed patience into quarterback? It seems like these guys are bouncing around. They don't want a red shirt. They don't want to sit behind a guy. They're transferring
Yeah,
a lot.
it's pretty amazing.
How do you get them to be willing to sit behind a guy?
Well, you know, I don't know. Each guy's different. And, you know, they find their niche and realize it's a pretty good opportunity to maybe sit there and get their feet wet and learn how to do it and then go on from there. But, you know, I think that question probably has more to do with the societal thing today that, you know, if I'm not going to get in, I'm going to take my ball and go home. You know, I mean, look at the people transferring, you know, every single day from running away from competition or whatever it might be. So, but you know what, it happens. We just deal with it and try to do what's best for the player. I mean, that's one of the things that I think gets lost a little bit, is all of us are in this for what's in it for the best of the individual player. Sometimes a change of scenery is best. Other times maybe it's best that, you know, you stay, you learn, then all of a sudden you're a step ahead. You know, I do believe sometimes you can probably throw somebody in a little too early, and you know what, they can be psychologically scarred for a little bit, you know, from that trauma. And so it's just every guy's different, and I don't know.
Can you tell when you recruit them, Mac, that they might be that type of a kid?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at track records, you know, to kind of see what they've run away from in their life and what they followed through. And but there is no predictor, so you make educated guesses, and hopefully the evaluation is right.
Back to facilities real quick. The student living in the dorms that were being built.
Is somebody eating somebody there too? Okay, good.
Wow. The dorms are finished.
That's a good thing.
The dorms of student living that you guys are working on.
It's actually, we've gutted another one that is being gutted this summer as well. So those are going great.
What's the wedding budget?
I wish I knew. No, I'm glad I don't. Let's put it that way. I'm glad I don't. I'm glad it don't.
Big deal?
Well, I think we capped it naturally by doing it at our lake cabin in Montana because it's hard to get to. So that probably capped itself. That's a good question, Mark.
Okay, a couple more minutes, guys, and then move along.
Jim, what do you think of playing Thursday night games?
Yeah, we did it. A bunch of leagues I've been in. You know, the turnaround is tough, but both schools are in it. I think part of that, you know, if you're playing a Thursday game, you would hope that maybe the opponent also had a Saturday game before. You know, hopefully they didn't have a bye. As long as you level the playing field. I mean, I can think back to when we were at Louisville. I think there was one year we actually played every single night, or every single day of the week. We opened on a Sunday and played a bowl game on a Monday. And I believe we played a game every single other. So you want to talk about, you know, bouncing around, but kept you on your toes.
Two final questions, guys.
You think there's a benefit to exposure from a Thursday night game for?
Well, I think for a lot of conferences, I don't know necessarily that the SEC is begging for exposure, but it'd be a pretty good time slot that bet you some people would put eyeballs on the television.
Do you expect to be more assertive in the room? I mean, last year maybe you sat back and kind of took it in a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I know you and Mike White came over together, and this year you're kind of here a second time. Do you expect to?
Shoot, those guys got all the answers. I just go ahead and listen. So.
You guys all set?
Wait,
For the last question, and for the Florida writers, Coach White's going to be available outside.
I think
Well, even the national guys should talk to him. He's a good guy now. Yeah, I'd go. He's a lot of fun. So.
The differences in offensive schemes now, there's fewer and fewer, you know, pro-style offenses. I think you play LSU in Florida from the West, which may be a little bit different than what you play mainly in your division. What's the challenge as a coach when that's kind of
Well, I think the biggest thing is, you know, making sure that whatever side of the ball it is has an opportunity that you know, you have some form, especially for the defense, to be able to at least practice against it, the stuff that you're seeing. And yet this is nothing new. I mean, there's been, in the history of football, you know, you may be running triple option one week, you may be going against a veer the next week, you may be, you know, split back pro the week after that. So, you know, I think it's not something that's new, and yet the biggest key is hopefully you give your guys the best opportunity to have a chance to be successful on Saturday, no matter what they're seeing.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.